I can see you. Oh man, no, my guy. Oh my God. I will.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Please take a seat. Okay, everybody's attention. Up top, please take a seat. Okay, First Assembly did a great job, and I know this assembly will do the same. Today, this morning, we have an opportunity at Rogers to honor those who have served for our country. And today, we have a few veterans who are here today to celebrate that with us. Please understand that this morning is about a time of honor and respect. This is not a homecoming assembly or a winter wishes or a pep assembly or anything like that. So there'll be an opportunity to stand, applaud, and so forth, but please be respectful, as I know you can and will be. So first of all, we do have some veterans who have come to join us today. If you're a veteran here this morning, would you please stand so we can recognize you? Please give them a applause. Also, there are many of you here that have family. There are many of you here that have family, friends, and relatives who are veterans or are currently serving. If you do, could you please stand and honor them? If you have somebody that you know who is serving, so please take a look around and give them a best. And at this time, to take us through and get us started, I'm going to turn it over to First Lieutenant Executive Officer, the JROTC, Mr. Shin.
Good morning. We would like to open today by thanking all the students, teachers, and the members of our military for coming to this year's Veterans Day Assembly. Please now rise for the presentation of the colors by our own Rogers JROTC and the singing of the national anthem by Miss Madeline Robertson.
Color guard, attention, forward, march. Front side, march. Color guard, hold. Left, face. Carry. Colors. Present. On.
Oh, you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and white stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bells bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance and the honor for all our fallen veterans who have given their lives for our country. Thank you.
Order. On. I'm carry. Colors. Right. Face. Forward. March. Color guard. Hold. Color guard. All out. Ram. Right. Forward. March. Ready. Hit.
Thank you all. Please be seated. like to share how the songs originated. Here in the U.S., we honor those who have served in our armed forces on Veterans Day. Of course, it's the perfect opportunity to feature the armed service songs from each military branch. Anchors Away for the U.S. Navy, The Caissons Go Rolling Along for the U.S. Army, The Wild Blue Yonder for the U.S. Air Force, The Marines Hymn for the U.S. Marine Corps, and Semper Paratus for U.S. Coast Guard. Each of these armed service songs has a rich history and a special meaning to those who have served and their families. Now, DRAM Battalion Commander Captain Dwayne O'Brien will now explain their origins.
Our first song, Anchors Away. Naval Academy Bandmaster Charles A. Zimmerman was a lieutenant when we composed Anchors Away in 1906. Collaborating with Midshipman First Class Alfred H. Miles, the march was created to pay tribute to the Academy's class in 1907. The band debuted Anchors Away during the Army-Navy football game on December 1st, 1906, at which Navy garnered their first win in the rival match in 1900s. Our second song, The Caissons Go Rolling Along. The official song of the U.S. Army was based on the Caissons song, written by then First Lieutenant Edmund Gerber, stationed at Fort Stoltenberg in the Philippines in March 1908. A caisson is a cart used in the Army are used on the battlefield. In 1952, as all the other U.S. branches already had adopted official songs, the Army had a contest to find its official song. By the author W.E. Christian, in which rhymes of Rookie's book. In our final song, Semper Paratus. Semper Paratus, or Always Ready, has been the U.S. Coast Guard's official motto since being added to the branch flag in 1910. Captain Francis S. Van Bolsker wrote lyrics for the song incorporating the Coast Guard's motto in 1922, and 5 years later, while serving as commander of the Bering Sea Forces, he added music. The band will now play the Armed Forces melody. When you or your family's branch anthem is playing, please stand so we can recognize you. to stand while the band plays America the Beautiful.
At this time, the Ram Battalion will now hold the American flag.
Outward, face. Forward, march. Left. Detail. Halt. Inward, face. Ready, set. Ready, set. Ready, set.
Have you ever noticed or wondered why the Honor Guard pays meticulous attention to correctly folding the flag 13 times? Here's what each of those 13 folds mean. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life.
Ready, set. Ready, set. Ready, set. Ready, set.
The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans departing our ranks and who gave a portion of his or her life for the defense of our country to attain peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature. As American citizens trusting in God, it is to Him we turn to in times of peace, as well in times of war, for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country, for in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country, in dealing with other countries, may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is for where our hearts lie. It is with our hearts that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all enemies, whether they be found within or without our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadows of death, that we might see the light of day, and to honor our mother, for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood, for it has been through their faith, love, and loyalty that the character of the men and women who have made this country great have been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to the Father, for He too has given His sons and daughters for the defense of our country since he or she was first born. The 11th fold, in the eyes of Hebrew citizens, represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold in the eyes of a Christian citizen represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. When the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our national motto, "In God We Trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it has the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones and were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the U.S. Armed Forces, preserving us for the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we enjoy today.
Outward, face. Forward, march. D2, halt.
Okay, next we have a special presentation by one of our teachers, Miss Jamie Smith. Miss Smith has worked and traveled the country in working with Congressional Medal of Honor recipients. She has spoken all over the country, all over the world, and has worked with teachers across the states, again, in honoring and understanding what it means to be a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient. So please give it up for your teacher, Miss Smith.
The history of the Congressional Medal of Honor is a history of respect and honor, of mistakes and regrets, of triumphs and failures, of bravery and commitment, of courage, of fear, and of sacrifice. It is the highest military award in the U.S. and is given for valor in action against an enemy force, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life, above and beyond the call of duty. It is the only medal to be worn around the neck, and it is displayed above all other decorations. It was first created by President Lincoln in 1861 in honor of those that have served. Before that, we had no awards except the Purple Heart that honored those who were injured. We did not want medals because that seemed too British, and we were breaking away from Europe. However, in 1861, President Lincoln realized that a country that does not honor its heroes will not long endure. He ordered the Navy Medal, and soon after came the Army one. 100 years later, we added the Air Force Medal. While there are 3 different designs, it is the same medal. Since 1861, many more awards have been created, but the Medal of Honor is still the highest award given. It is not given just because someone was brave or because they did a good job, but because they were willing to sacrifice their own life for another. Now, they do not have to have saved anyone or killed anyone. There are recipients who jumped on a grenade that did not go off. There are others who jumped on a grenade that did go off. Others have run through a hailstorm of bullets to save a wounded soldier. Sometimes the soldier lived. Sometimes they did not. But it is about the commitment to your fellow man, the sacrifice you are willing to make to protect them. From World War II on, over half of the awards have been given out posthumously, meaning that the recipient died doing their action. This highest award must be put in by others. It is not about nominating yourself, but others acknowledging the risk that you took that went above and beyond. And it must be verified by witnesses, which means there are so many more that deserve this award, but there are no living witnesses to tell their story. Out of every single person who has ever served in the military, only 3,505 are recipients. Think about that for a moment. Out of the hundreds of millions of people who have served, less than 4,000 have received this award. And while it is an honor, it is a very, very heavy burden. For think about the worst day of your life. The day that everything went wrong, the day you lost that person, heard the horrible news, watched that event. For the recipients, the action that earned them the medal is often the worst day of their lives. The day they lost friends and loved ones, the day they sacrificed their health, their safety, their limbs, and for many recipients, they sacrificed their own lives. For those who survived, every time that they put on the medal, they are reminded that around their neck, they are wearing the sacrifice of others and their worst day. And that there are many, many more that did not get another day. They wear it for them, for those that sacrificed everything for your freedom. You have likely never met a Medal of Honor recipient, for statistically, you are more likely to win the large mega lottery than you are to ever meet one. There are only 70 living recipients, and one of them is a Rogers High School graduate. Ronald J. Scheurer II is a former United States Special Forces Staff Sergeant Medic who received the Medal of Honor for his actions in the Battle of Shock Valley in Afghanistan in April of 2008. He and his team were attacked by an enemy force of more than 200 fighters. With complete disregard to his own life, Staff Sergeant Scheurer repeatedly moved through enemy heavy fire to treat and stabilize severely wounded soldiers. After treating the soldiers, he began to evacuate the wounded by carrying them and lowering them down the sheer mountainside, while using his own body to shield them from enemy fire and from airstrike debris. We will be honoring Staff Sergeant Scheurer here at Rogers on December 6th, and I encourage you to make a note and attend the ceremony after school. For while you have likely never met a recipient, and they have never met you, they fought for you, they sacrificed for you, and many of them have died for you. I've had the honor and pleasure of working with the Medal of Honor Society to bring their stories to teachers and schools around the nation. I've been privileged to meet several of the recipients, and what they have told me is that they never fought out of hate, but they fought for their love of their brothers and sisters. And most importantly, they said they did this for you. They fought for you and your freedom, even though they've never met you. They know the value of your life. They know the value of your future and what you can contribute to society. They were willing to sacrifice everything so that you would have freedoms and opportunities. Because remember, freedom is never free. Every generation must be vigilant and must fight for it. Today we honor those who have been willing to stand for a country that is in no way perfect, but that is working towards it, so that one day we will have that more perfect union that our founding fathers had dreamed of.
Of all the military bugle calls, none is so easily recognized or more apt to render emotion than taps. Today, this distinctive 24-note bugle melody is played at U.S. military funerals, memorials, and as a lights-out signal to soldiers at night. Please rise for the playing of Taps by Brock Gilmore.
The last part of today works like this. When you go back to your classroom, you're going to have to see a video of RHS graduate Ronald Scherer, who received the Congressional Medal of Honor. He's a recipient. It's an outstanding story when you have a chance to see it in your classroom. You guys have done an outstanding job today. I appreciate the respect that you've shown. Please return to second period.
I grew up an only child to two Air Force parents. My mom got out to become a nurse, and my dad stayed in and did 20 years and retired from the Air Force. So I kind of had both those influences, the military side and the medical side from my mom. I signed up to be in the Army soon after 9/11. I was in a graduate school for economics, and just sitting there and watching it on TV as the war kind of developed in Afghanistan just didn't seem right to sit on the sidelines and not help. When I first enlisted in the Army, I went in with a medic airborne contract, and then after completing those, I went to a regular Army unit. I applied to switch over to Special Forces, was selected, and from that point I volunteered to be a medic again, to be a Green Beret medic. I always tried to push myself as hard as I could. I never wanted to focus on the training as just getting good enough or just passing this test. I wanted to just have it be ingrained in me, so that way if something did happen, I would know I did the best I could that day. My first deployment was in August of 2006. The next deployment in October or November 2007. We were assigned primarily to an Afghan commando battalion, and our job was to advise and assist them on missions. April 6, 2008, we were going to a small remote village in eastern Afghanistan looking for a high-value target. Once we got into the valley, it was just cold and it was quiet, and everywhere you looked around you, it was just mountains. It just felt like you're kind of staring at sheer cliffs, just if you looked to your left or your right or anywhere around you. I could see the lead element starting to work their way up the mountain towards the village. I remember seeing one guy run across the top of the mountain. He had an AK, and just a few moments later, it just felt like, the whole world exploded on us. It wasn't very long after that I heard the first calls for medic. One of the Afghan commandos had been shot. Ran over to him to start assessing his wounds. Luckily, he wasn't that severely wounded. I remember watching a RPG come down from the mountain and hit right in front of the line. Almost immediately I knew who'd been hurt. One of the guys on my team, Sergeant Wallen, before every mission, he always would bring his Afghan commandos over to me and be like, if something happens to me, find Ron. I just heard Ron come down the line. Found him bleeding with some shrapnel wounds to the neck. While I was working on him, through the radio, that's when I'd heard that not only was the lead element pinned down up on the hill, but several of them had been wounded severely. It took us a while to try and get up to the lead element because as we continued to move up, just the fire in the area just continued to just get more concentrated and more intense. As soon as I got there, I could see everybody was pinned down, trying to use what little cover there was. One of our interpreters, he went by CK. He appeared to be dead, so I, at that time, didn't give too much assessment of him and worked over towards some of the other guys. Sergeant Bear and Sergeant Morales had both been fairly severely wounded. Sergeant Bear had multiple gunshot wounds. So I started working primarily on trying to stabilize his pelvic wound. I also was working on Luis intertwined with this. He had multiple gunshot wounds to his right leg that all were very severe, and trying to coordinate evac at this time for these guys. Around this time, I also went over to check our interpreter CK again. Just I felt like I owed him to go check on him, so I ran over to where he was, checked on him. Unfortunately, he'd been shot. It was non-survivable. Another commando was shot in the head. We started picking up some more casualties, with Sergeant Walding getting an amputation below his knee, and Sergeant Ford, he was shot in the arm. That's when I felt a round impact my helmet and just kind of